Good evening, everyone. Lovely to see you again. Hope you had a fantastic Christmas. Here we go again with the Scottish Football Social Club on Premier Sports. We're live on X and YouTube. Just a reminder, feel free to send any comments. You'll see a little box on the right there. Send any comments in. We'll try and put them on screen. And if I've got a chance, I'll also read them out and ask the guys to respond to them throughout the programme. Now, a lot has happened since we last saw you. And I'm not just talking about Christmas Day, by the way, which hopefully everyone really enjoyed. I'm talking about last week. Michael was telling us he was about to get married. So how was it, Michael? Have you recovered?
Just about. It was good. It was great. It was not so much worry about me. You need to worry about Susie. I think she's just about mentally recovered as well.
Yeah. Darryl, we brought the wedding cake.
Marrying you, by the way.
Darryl, we brought the wedding cake. It was a lovely gesture to the game the other day up in Aberdeen. So
you didn't even try it.
But what did I tell you? But what did I tell you? I don't like that butter ice and stuff, so I can't. But I said thanks.
It's good. It's good.
But no thanks.
Al, did I notice? Now I might be wrong. Did I notice the following day? Did you have an anniversary message up as well on Instagram? You didn't get married in the same day, did you?
Oh, here we go. I hope she's not listening to this.
I think you got engaged.
And there's a difference of opinions when it comes to it, because she thinks I thought it was Christmas Eve. She thinks it was the day before, and that's where it all comes from. We just laugh about it, and then she's now putting it up. But as it was a long time ago, so it's kind of hard to remember.
Do you agree on the year at least?
On the year, yeah, on the year. That's fine.
Good. Well, you can both celebrate now forever on the same day. Yeah. That's the great thing moving forward. By the way, later on in the show, I've asked the guys to pick their teams of the season so far. It was a late thought this afternoon, so don't worry, there's going to be no graphics on screen or anything like that. But I will ask them to run through their 1 to 11, if you like, on their best players of the season so far as we're about to turn to 2026. We're going to get going in just a moment with the highlights, by the way, but first a quick mention of the sponsors. The Scottish Football Social Club is brought to you in association with SBK and Premier Sports. SBK is a betting app that cuts out the nonsense, just straight up sports betting for folk who actually care about the game. Proper odds, no gimmicks. I think we have to get stuck right in now. Shall we begin with the big game of the weekend, if you like, the biggest of the weekend, which was the Edinburgh derby. And I'll come to you first, Alan, because let's start on Hibs, who were just fantastic for 60, 70 minutes of the match. Outstanding, as good as they've been for a while.
Yeah, the Michael Stewart derby, as we were talking about it earlier. Yeah. No, it was a great game, to be honest with you. I thought it was really important from a Hibs point of view to get a result against probably a top 6 opponent. Look, this is the leader, so of course it's a derby, but to get a big result. And when they play well and they're aggressive and they're playing the ball forward, like you just seen, great switch of play, out to Nicky Cadden, ball in the box. They're so dangerous. And that's what I liked most about them. I think in certain games they've maybe been missing a little bit of that aggression, even though they've been playing well. But when they play to this level like they did for 60, 70 minutes, they were well worth the lead. I think, listen, at 3-0, there was that huge opportunity, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Where I think it was Campbell went down the line and he needs to cut it back, or was it
you'll
Mulligan?
See it.
I'm not sure. So that would have been dead and buried at that point. So look, I think they were well worth it. Bit nervy towards the end. You know Hearts are going to come into it. They'll try different and change a formation, try to throw all in attacking players to get back in, and they nearly did. I mean, this is the one I think you square that, you finish the game off and it's done. And it just gives a little bit of light to Hearts to get back into the game. And they did, and they made it exciting towards the end. Salinger makes a mistake for the second one, but I think he makes up with big saves after that from Shankland, I think it was, to keep them in the game. But overall, brilliant game, brilliant start to the weekend. And it's nice to see Hibs put on a performance, like I said, against one of the top teams.
Yeah, that Salinger save coming in a moment is absolutely magnificent from Shankland.
Just there. It's just reactions.
The game. But
just reactions, and after everything that happened, to make that save, I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, good point. You have to say, Michael, on Hibs, I think we've said on this show for a while now, they needed a big result, didn't they, in a big game? I think you mentioned it just last week. This is the type of performance that they need to show more consistently. You've said many times they've got the players. Why aren't they doing it on a more consistent basis? That was more like it, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, look.
Good comment on Jamie McGrath as well, who was brilliant when he had to move position too.
Well, I mean, I've said this God knows how many times in terms of when you look at Hibs, the squad, the team, the recruitment in the summer, I think they've improved immeasurably, but the results are not as good as they were last season, coupled with the fact that obviously their closest rivals are sitting top of the table. It inevitably adds to a feeling of, frustration and despondency. But they looked extremely hungry. The big thing for them as well is goals at great times, and that alters the feeling, and it adds an extra sort of yard of pace to the whole team. I thought they were outstanding. They thoroughly deserved to win the game. Obviously got a wee bit sort of nervous for Hibs right at the end. And are there positives for Hearts to take out of it? Yes, in that they were so poor, but there was still an anticipation and a feeling that they were 3-0 down, but they could get something out of the game, which I think goes to show you where this side are this season and where they are at the moment. But, in terms of the positives, the vast majority of it clearly are residing at Easter Road. And hopefully for Hibs, it can prove a catalyst for them move forward for the rest of the season, because I do genuinely believe that they're capable of beating anybody in the division, and they've got to take confidence and belief from that result there, because I think you just mentioned it there, we've spoken about it umpteen times. In the big games, they've not been able to come up with some of the performances have been okay, but they've not been able to come up with the results, whereas they got both on Saturday, and for the talent and the strength and depth that they've got, second half of the season should be positive for Hibs.
Yeah, you would think so. It always happens after a performance, a derby win like that. But I see today in the papers, Mulligan's been linked with teams down south, Kieran Bowie as well. But look, if suitors want to come and take those sort of players, they're going to have to pay an awful lot of money. That's the way it should be, Alan.
I think so. I mean, and they've been excellent. And the McGrath situation that just came up there, and we're talking about the teams. I was desperate to get them in, but it was difficult. I thought it was really hard picking team. But of course, if you're playing at that level and they kick on, which they have done, I think the recruitment there has been excellent. They've added to a core with top players. And when you're playing at that level consistently, there's going to be people out there looking to try and snap them up. So they're going to have to pay for them. I mean, and it's only right that they do.
Yeah, and Hibs will just want to keep them, of course, for now, Michael, and build on this comment coming in there about Nicky Cadden, who get injured again in the game. And obviously that's a disappointing side of it. But as I said, Jamie McGrath sort of slotted in there and played well, but losing Nicky Cadden moving forwards with no beta at the moment, not ideal at all.
That is just on that one, Darryl, quickly. It is a concern because, you saw the first goal. I know McGrath gets the setup for the second one from a similar position, but the first goal in particular, it shows you the quality that Nicky Cadden's got. And I've just felt the last, and I know he's had a couple of games out again recently, but I felt like the last, month, 6 weeks, you've started to see him just having a bit more of an impact. He's never really been able to get 5 or 6 games on the spin and build up that. It looks to me like he's constantly, he's anxious about his body himself, whether he's going to be, breaking down. And, Hutz will tell you there's nothing worse, especially muscle injuries like that. He's holding his calf. He's got, that's an area.
In that position as well, Mikey.
Aye. And it's the sort of thing that when you get muscle injuries like that, it's no great surprise that there's a recurrence. One thing breaks down, then the next thing breaks down. It's disappointing. And moving forward for Hibs, that's a real concern, because he is unquestionably a player that takes Hibs to a different level, irrespective of whether you're going to replace him with Obita or McGrath. These guys can do a job there, but it's not their strongest 11 if those guys are in those positions.
No. Just to go back to Hearts then, Alan, any concern that this might sort of throw them a bit? Because they've been through a couple of games like this season, maybe not really a match like that of that stature against your big rivals, I suppose. Any concern? And also, Dermot McKinnon tried to make changes in the game. I thought Beningame was superb when he came on, Alan, after maybe 10 minutes when Hearts started to get a foothold in the game. They've got players, remember, to join as well. So you just still feel like they can stay the course now?
I think they can. I mean, you look at the character that they showed as well, to stick in and fight to the very end. I mean, you've got to give them plaudits for that. I'm sure they'll be looking through the video and everything, and there'll be things that he'll want to improve on. Of course, he'll be unhappy with how they played that first 60, 70 minutes, but it can happen. See, derby games, like you talk about Rangers, Celtic, Hearts, Hibs, all this, and they say form goes out the window. And people just kind of look at you as if you're daft, but it genuinely does, because if you're playing against a team who turn up and they're willing to fight and they win their battles, that can happen. The big thing for Hibs is, can they go and do that consistently? That's what they need to do. From Hearts' point of view, they have done it, and they've been through all the teams and beat them, and they're up there for a reason. So yeah, I think they can last. They're going to add in January. We already know there's some coming in. They're strong at this moment in time, so I think they will last the season. Whether it's first, second, or third, I don't know, but they'll be up there challenging.
We will see. And by the way, that next Edinburgh derby, which is live in Premier Sports, that is going to be an absolute belter in February, given what's just happened. And Hearts will want to get their own back, of course. Michael, just a couple of things. They're exactly that. February the 10th, 8 o'clock, Premier Sports, Hearts against Hibs. Really looking forward to that one already. A couple of things that I really liked, actually. Lawrence Shankland's reaction when he was asked about the comeback and the positives and stuff, not having it at all, saying we're not good enough to only play for 30 minutes. I don't know, isn't that exactly the type of mindset you need in the dressing room if you are to move forward and have another successful run? And the fixtures aren't too bad to come, by the way.
Aye. I think you heard it from the manager as well. He was best pleased. So I think that obviously shows you that it's stemming from the top, the message, the narrative. Nobody... the manager's not happy, the captain's not happy, then that does filter through. And as much as I was talking about, there are some positives, I think that's for people out with the club like ourselves, looking at that and saying, as that game was unfolding, you still felt like Hearts potentially had a chance to get something, which, that's crazy to think when you're 3-0 down in the derby, but you just felt, especially that Shankland scores the header, that there was a chance. That gives you a measure of where they are as a club. Inside the changing room, they don't need to articulate that, because it's it's almost like empty rhetoric within the changing room, but they'll feel it themselves. So feeling that is a positive, but you don't need to talk about it. I think it's very good to hear them talking about the fact that it's unacceptable, not good enough to turn up for only half an hour, and really focus on that side of things. And you're right, obviously the run of fixtures coming up, they're not playing tomorrow night, whereas the rest of the league will be. Livingston at the weekend, at home, and then it's Dundee and St Mirren. You're talking about a good run of fixtures there to potentially give them a chance to get a bit of momentum going again. While obviously the other teams that are in around them have got a few tough games. Celtic away to Motherwell tomorrow on Premier, very difficult. Rangers at home to St Mirren. We'll wait and see what happens there. Might be another penalty or something.
He's gone already.
Happens. Well, St Mirren have been extremely unfortunate this season.
So it might happen again. Is that what you're telling me?
Listen, we'll come to that. Listen, don't you worry. We'll get to VAR decisions and all that. Michael, there's a comment about Megwa coming in, by the way, who I did think.
And then obviously the Glasgow derby at the start of the year as well. That's huge. That's big, because obviously
6 each.
Well,
I'm saying 6 each.
You're talking about second and third going head to head there, whereas Hearts have a chance at home against Livy. It'll be an interesting one to see what happens in the game. But clearly, one of the two sides behind Hearts are going to be dropping points, or both.
They will. And you talked about incomings. That looks like a right back will arrive. Jordi Altena is the name that's been mentioned. And just one other quick bit, just to of business, I guess, just to reflect on briefly, is Craig Halkett signing a new deal, and we talked about that. Would they get that done? Look, if he just stays fit, we know how good he is. So what?
Which he has been.
Which
he has been. And we're talking about Nicky Cadden and the frustration that's there. Craig Halkett's had that, and you've got to say, not overplaying it, but he has been, to a great extent. I think he's only missed one game with injury, and that
just before the derby.
Just before the derby. A little bit of a fluid in his knee, but he missed the Aberdeen game through suspension. He's played pretty much every other game. So half a season here, that's probably the best run of games he's had, in the last 3-4 years, maybe. So it's great to see. And yes, a huge positive for him to be signing a new deal. And it's a huge positive that he's been fit, because he's a top defender. And, I'm sure he'll be in quite a few people's team of the season so far, if they've got a brain.
Yeah, well, and a really good leader as well.
What are you trying to say, Michael?
I don't know.
Al will get to that team. I bet he's in Al's team as well. Don't you worry about that. And he's been on this show as well. He's a classy individual.
Right, 2 seconds to change that. No, I'm joking.
It'll be full on wind up, by the way, if he's missed out some key players, I tell you. Right, let's keep pushing forward then at the moment. This one won't take too long anyway, Michael. St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 0. It was a really good crowd on hand as well. St Mirren dominated the game. There was a couple of penalty shouts in here too. It was sort of everything but a goal. However, when you watch the kind of extended highlights, which we won't see here, we'll just see a few clips from the game, but they didn't create too many clear-cut chances. Just one really outstanding opportunity, I thought, for St Mirren.
Yeah, I think, it's an afternoon of frustration. For Kelly, I think that, they're going to be taking that every day of the week, going away to St Mirren in a little bit of resurgence. That hits his hand. For me, I don't know about you, he's sliding in, doesn't get the ball, but it hits his hand.
So the question is it supporting his body? Because that's the kind of law, but maybe not.
I get that, and I understand about, supporting the body, but at that point, I'm not really sure that it is. It's probably borderline due to the fact that it's the arm that would potentially be supporting his body.
So the first one more than that one for you, Michael?
Yeah, because that one, I think Don Robertson's absolutely spot on with it. His arm's just down at the side of him. It's not, in an unnatural position. The first one would be the one that I'd be looking at and going, I think that's borderline for me.
Well, let me just say this then, Al, because I think the players as well know when you slide into a challenge now, that supporting hand, if you like, supports the body, so to speak. If it makes contact with the ball, you're not going to get a penalty given against you. Now, if you're sliding into the challenge and you're aware of that and you're about to miss the ball altogether, might not be a bad idea just to sweep it out of play then. I've got no idea what the player was thinking.
You're onto something there, aye.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course I do. I didn't think the first one was a penalty. I mean, I've tried to watch it back a few times, and that's just my opinion. The second one with Brad Lyons, definitely not. I mean, there's nothing he can do. It's down by his side. But I understand what you're saying. He slides in. I just didn't think it was enough.
Looks like there's a little bit of shoveling. I can only imagine what Stephen Robinson thinks the while, given what he's gone through this season.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a borderline one for me. If it was given, I wouldn't be jumping about going, that's a terrible decision. The fact it's not been given on the back of, as you said, everything that St Mirren have had against them, you can understand they'll just be thinking, here we go again.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. On Kilmarnock, briefly, of course, the search goes on for a manager. Alan, it's a point, which is not a bad point at all at that venue. The goalkeeper position hasn't been ideal. Oluwemye made one outstanding save in the game again. So there's a few things they can take away from the match. Yeah,
I mean, I think you have to take the positives out of it. I mean, they do look at times as if they're lacking maybe a little bit of confidence, and going on a run, 11, 12 games without a win. I think it's 9 and 3 draws. I mean, it's not ideal, so you understand why. The big thing for me is to build on that. That's a difficult place to go. St Mirren have been playing well recently. I mean, you think of the cup final, they're unbeaten in 4 in the league, so they're in a good place at this moment in time in terms of momentum. But for Kelly, Dundee United, that game is huge come tomorrow. So, I mean, they need to get something for there. It's going to be a difficult game, but there's a little bit of separation starting, and I think they need to keep pace with the teams that are above them. So, but we'll have to see what happens.
We will. I'm just checking the fixtures tomorrow. Yeah, so you're absolutely right. There's a few big games to come tomorrow. It's Dundee against Kilmarnock. Dundee Kilmarnock is the game tomorrow night. So
did I say Dundee United or did I say Dundee?
You chucked in a wee United there, and you made me just double check.
I meant Dundee.
That's a huge game, actually, Al, isn't it? For both teams, that's massive.
Yeah, that's why I was bringing it up. But if I said Dundee United, I apologise. I meant to say Dundee.
No,
So it is a huge
don't
game.
worry. I was just double checking myself really there. I was just going on the internet just to check it was indeed Dundee, because I was nicely going to move on to Dundee against Falkirk now, Michael, which is the direction we're heading. It just one goal needed to decide this game. Falkirk haven't scored many recently, as you know, and they struggled to create in this game too, but a vital 3 points. You saw the Dundee fans who were getting in touch last week, some of the comments coming in. It didn't feel like there was much unity at the football club. So what you just need more than anything is a victory, and they got that.
I mean, totally. We've spoken at length all season long that Dundee, the inconsistency and the disparity between the good performances and then the poor ones, the drop-off's been too much, it's been too big, and the results have obviously followed that. There's not been too many, I would suggest, that where the performances have been not great and they've got wins. So I think at this stage they'll take that all day long. Even though it wasn't a great performance, they're going to take the victory every day of the week.
No, not many chances in this one either, Michael.
No, there's not at all. You can see that. I just think, thank goodness that the officials have come to the right decision there, because Brad Spencer, I'll tell you, he's not going to do anybody there. He's just going to clear the ball. And the facts are that there's a bit of a difference in time, the timing of the players coming to get the ball, and you can understand why. Thankfully, VAR have.
Yeah, we needed VAR there for sure. What about the handball, Michael? Did they get that one right?
I can see why it's given, but I don't think, me personally,
just don't turn your back.
Yeah, but the fact that the ref hasn't given it, I don't think VAR needs to get involved personally to give the penalty. Is my view. The hand, there's part of it, and I know that his hand's not directly in front of his face, but if you go and your hand is in front of your face, you're basically trying to protect yourself, and it hits your hand, the penalty kick wouldn't be given.
But it was more out, no?
What, sorry?
It was out.
No, I know, but what I was about to say to you was, what it's like if the ball's getting blasted.
Yeah, of course.
Your arm's sort of there because you are trying to sort of get it up to protect yourself. That's what I'm saying. I can understand why it's given, but personally for me, the fact the ref didn't give it, that's one that I don't think personally VAR needed to get involved, but I can understand why it did.
Simon Murray's red card, Alan. I mean, look, he was trying to do the right thing. He's trying to get back in late in the game.
Yeah.
Is it one of those it doesn't look too good?
I thought it was a red when I seen it, to be honest. I just think there's no way he can get the ball. So unfortunately, he's caught him high up in the Achilles. I think it is a dangerous tackle. So I think it was the right decision. Okay.
Just on Falkirk, a couple of bits of news. Barney Stewart's back at the club, as anticipated. Michael, a player you'd have seen quite a bit of. And a statement, actually got a couple of messages as well today from Scott Arfield, but a statement released tonight to say Scott Arfield has left the club. And it sounds like it is. It's completely Scott's decision, which I didn't see coming, actually, Michael. And, the value of having someone like that in the dressing room is just so big in a campaign like this. And he's obviously someone that loves the club as well. He always speaks so positively about Falkirk. I don't know what's changed. Maybe we'll find out more in the coming days, but I think he could be a real loss to them.
Yeah, well, I think so. I just wonder whether, correct me if I'm wrong, I think his wife was still down south, and I just wonder whether perhaps the sort of travelling has been an issue. I don't know whether she was...
Maybe he felt as if he wasn't playing enough.
Yeah, I know, just a combination of it all, and I don't know whether perhaps the plan or the idea was to be moving back up the road, but I know certainly at this point I think she was still down south across the border. So the fact he's not playing as much as he probably wanted, the fact that he's away from the family, and maybe he's just thinking that perhaps free up some wages for the club as well.
He wants to play. I know that because he wants to get a move now. So he wants to play again this season. Falkirk Celtic to come, of course, 14th of January. So maybe Alan, it is. You know what Scott's like. He's such a fierce competitor. He wants to be valued. He's at the age now. He needs to be playing most weeks. Maybe that's in his thoughts. That's the Scottish.
Fair play at 37.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if your family's down south, you're up here, you're on your own, you're 37, you're not playing. So he's maybe thinking to himself, maybe he's going to retire at the end of this season, or maybe he's going to play on for one, but I want to play as many games as possible from now till then. And this is in his opinion, the best decision to go away to find somewhere else where he is going to get regular football. So it's fair play on his behalf that he just wants to play.
Yeah, we'll find out more. We'll get him on the show, Michael. Barney Stewart?
Yep.
Mikey, you've seen a bit. What do you think?
Well, I mean, when he first came in, obviously from Heriot-Watt University, it was a bit of an eye opener. But he's an old school sort of centre forward in terms of physical, athletic. He was obviously out on loan at the bitter rivals and scored a fair few goals as well.
Didn't want to lose him, by the way.
No, and I can understand why, because like everything I was just saying in terms in the Championship, that physicality, certainly, I thought any time I did watch him that he was a positive. And yeah, I don't know the sort of thinking or the thoughts behind it. Whether John McGlynn's viewing it as back in to be able to compete, or whether they
need goals.
Yeah, I know they do.
Definitely.
They do. Or whether they're thinking, he's coming back in and they might send him somewhere else. I would imagine that perhaps it is coming back in to go and compete at the top end of the park, because I think he did relatively well out on loan.
Yeah, absolutely. On to one of the mad games of the weekend then, Livingston against Celtic. What a start to this match, Alan. Celtic found a way though, didn't they, to come back into the game and very much took control, created a lot. They'll be a little bit concerned though about the amount of opportunities Livingston had, and as the game went on as well, all of a sudden Celtic weren't creating so much and Livy did look dangerous. So look, positives clearly for Wilfred Nancy, but some concerns for Celtic fans.
Yeah, what a crazy 10 minutes. I mean, unbelievable when I was listening to it, but this is Celtic all over at the moment for me. I mean, you see how well they can play in terms of going forward, but defensively, I mean, sloppy ball from Tierney, you would think that there would be somebody there defensively to kind of pick up. The defending, you're asking your winger to get back in. He's a winger, he doesn't know how to defend. Ralston, I mean, I genuinely, I'm not sure what he was doing there, but he needs to come out, make contact with him, block him, he doesn't do it. This is where I think Celtic are good. They always put pressure on you. They've always got men forward. They want overloads, and that's why they're going to get back into it. Attacking is not a problem. It's the defensive situation. And when you're watching this and you're seeing the highlights or you watch the full game, simple things like this, playing out from the back, I mean, you just need to watch defending. Yang, what are you doing in there? Ralston's got him. Open your body. Watch where Montano is. He actually tackles Ralston, Yang, there, and then can't get out. I mean, some of the defending is... I mean, it is shocking at times.
There are two full-backs in the back three. I'm not saying, by the way, that's an excuse at all. It's the team the manager's picked. I know Kieran Tierney's played a lot in that. Yeah.
See, for an example, right, Ralston, I played right back. If I was to go into a back three, the basics are still the same. Open up your shoulders, see what's coming, see what's round about you. Speak to your wing back, tell him where to be if he's unsure. The basics and the principles are still the same. Tierney is a good defender. That's why he understands how to do it. But they push that many men forward. The wing backs are high. They're left exposed. You look at the Aberdeen game, for as many chances as they created, one ball beat them. They've conceded 2 to Livingston. No disrespect, they're bottom of the league. They've struggled for goals. And by the way, they could have had more. That's the worry. So yes, Celtic put the foot down in 4-2 at half time, tailed off a little bit. But this is the bit I was watching. And I'm going to myself, how many opportunities have Livy had in this game? It's actually frightening. And I just feel against better teams playing this style, they will get punished.
The highlights there they could have ran for about another 10 minutes in terms of.
There was so much, Michael. We had to be selective.
Right.
In the second half in particular, and I know Celtic are obviously 4-2 up at that stage, but this is where my concern with how they play is that there's never any period of control. There's not a great deal of control of the game. Any team is able to really get at them. So, I mean, in terms of excitement, it's full of it. It's full of drama. It's full of excitement. But I'm not too sure the nerves of anyone of a Celtic persuasion will be able to last for the season, because, as I said, there's never any period where you feel like Celtic are in complete control here. Even when they're on the front foot and they're being aggressive and creating chances, like every couple of minutes, there's something happens going in the other direction that just plants the seed of doubt of, oh my God, what cheat? Oh, and invariably, it's not as if it's any intricate, great football. It's just getting the ball up the other end of the park, and the team is basically running through on goals. I've never seen a team give as many opportunities to the opposition, and I mean opportunities to just run through on goals. Not have to beat. It's like there isn't a defence. And yes, they've won the game again, and as long as they're winning games, then it will mask that deficiency to a great extent. But my gut would be what Alan's just said there, that you feel that against better sides, they'll cut. I just think they would score more goals.
Yeah.
And obviously we all know goals are what change games. Yeah. And if you're conceding goals against better teams, you're not giving yourself the best opportunity.
No. Scales has struggled in the system, obviously, so he was benched. I did notice a lot of Celtic fans seemed happy that Sinisalo was starting the game, Michael. Schmeichel, I think they've been a little bit concerned about his form throughout the season. Sinisalo maybe should be catching the ball a little bit more than he's punching at times. But do you think that's a change that will stick? Do you think he will get a run now?
I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised. But I mean, look, in terms of the goalkeeping position, it's a position that needs to be looked at for Celtic because, you know, Schmeichel's coming towards the end of his career. Not sure whether he's going to, you know, be around for another season, and you know, regardless of whether they signed it, you know, and stayed, or is going to be competitive. Because I think you do see at this stage of his career, things are just sort of tapering slightly, which happens. It happens. So I think it's a position that Celtic, in amongst quite a few others, and this is the big conundrum for Celtic in terms of, do you recruit into this system and sort of box yourself in slightly, or
what choice have you got?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, very true. Very true. How do you get you know, Jota into this system? Where do you play Alistair Johnson? Because it would appear that obviously he wants.
I would play him right wing back. You need a right-sided centre half.
But do you know what, Alan? I really like Colby Donovan every time he plays as well.
Yeah. So that. But
I'm just talking at this moment in time. If you had everybody fit.
But here's what I would say to you on that is, it doesn't look like he wants to play what you would class as attacking fullbacks in the wing-back position. He wants
more wingers.
Yeah. He wants to play out-and-out wingers there.
Well, you're not getting Jota playing that way.
No chance. But that's
so you need centre halves then, Michael, who are happy in that system and who can
and
defend.
Fast and are fast.
Yeah, fast. Yeah, I mean lightning quick, because you're basically looking for, you know, guys that are then capable of playing 1v1 or even outnumbered at times. You know, one against two strikers, because they leave themselves exposed. So Alistair Johnson, interesting to see where he fits in. Does he play him right centre half? You know, I don't know. And then if there's Carter Vickers, where's Trusty playing? Where's Tierney playing? There's a lot of moving pieces here that it's going to be very interesting to see.
Do you not think, Mikey? Like, I understand his formation and that, and I totally get what you're saying. He wants to play wingers, but like, you look at the Roma game, they came up against a team who play that way, who have guys that can get forward but can also defend. I think that helps massively in terms of what we are talking about. It kind of takes that mental defending out the situation. If you had Tierney kind of up and down the line that side who could defend, Alistair Johnson on the other side, you get Carter Vickers in the middle, say Trusty or Scales on the left, you bring in a right-sided centre half who's quick, it starts to look a little bit better. I just think they're just so wide open.
It starts to look a bit better from a defensive perspective.
Yeah.
But what you've just described there is you're effectively substituting an attacking player for an extra centre half.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
you know, so
it's a good point that as well. That Alistair Johnson obviously knows the manager well.
Yes, I'm not saying that he doesn't know where. I'm saying I'm going to be intrigued to see how he gets all these guys to fit into his system, because obviously Alistair Johnson is one of the main players in the team. Carter Vickers, likewise. Tierney, Jota. How are you going to get all these pieces to fit into it? Is going to be very interesting to see how it evolves over the next few months. And we all know, because we've said it enough, it's a squad that needed like desperate additions. It needed, strengthened. Where are they going to look? I mean, centre forward's clearly one of them, but where are you going to fit all the rest of those guys into the team? I don't know the answer.
In the short term, never mind the long-term future, the short term, what a game live tomorrow night in Premier Sports, by the way, that Motherwell against Celtic game, Alan. That who knows what you're going to get?
Darryl, know why I'm looking forward to that, because the way Mikey's just spoke about how Celtic want to play, they want to have all their attacking options up there, that end of the pitch. That's what Motherwell want. Yeah. They want you to come up against them and press so they can play through the press, get in behind you, and then they've just got a free run at it. So, look, I'm really looking forward to it. I think Motherwell, they create a lot of opportunities. We've seen that at Ibrox as well. They'll go there and they'll play their way. And I think it could be very open. So, look, it'll definitely be interested. Looking forward to it.
Centre forward, centre backs, maybe the priority then for January for Wilfred Nancy.
That message there, Andrew Higgins was saying in terms of 3 centre halves that don't attack might be the answer. But that's not how he plays.
No, he likes them to go forward, at least one of them.
Yeah, it's not how he plays. We're all projecting how we think or how it would potentially work. But I don't know the answers to it, and that's why I'm saying it'll be intriguing. Formations themselves aren't the problem. Well, I get the point they're making there as well, but that comes back to the the big debate here about you're putting people in positions that they're not overly comfortable with. So then formations are very important in that instance.
Yeah. And do you know the approach? I don't know, Al, if you remember a few years ago, Chris Wilder, Sheffield United, when they first come up into the top flight.
I remember. I played against
the overlapping sort of centre halves, which at the time was never really seen before. A few times I have watched Celtic, and the way they attack actually reminds me of that.
Do you know what happens?
At times. Yeah.
Do you know what happens sometimes, Darryl? You've got one of the centre halves, say it's Tierney on the ball, so he's coming forward with the ball. The other centre half is then pushing up also, and you've got one spare. So you're like 1v1. See, if that was me playing in that formation, I'd have less here than what I have right now, because you'd just be panicking about one through ball. Like you generally would. So if you were playing that sort of formation years ago, as a defender or an experienced player or whatever, you'd be saying to people like, tuck round, at least just come in front of the one striker that's there, so you get anything short and I'll run in behind. It's quite simple. So I'm with Mikey. It's intriguing to see how this is all going to pan out.
And we just mentioned the Motherwell against Celtic game. By the way, we'll come to Rangers Motherwell in a minute. Maswinise, I thought was a massive miss, but just seeing apparently he's lit up the African Cup of Nations tonight, AFCON tonight, with a brilliant goal for his country, and I think that tells you everything you need to know about his form this season. He's just taken it on to international level. On to Rangers against Motherwell then. It was 1-0 in the end. I'm not sure how that could possibly have been the case at the end of the game, Alan, because there were so many opportunities for both teams, some big decisions as well. I guess Rangers' point of view, it's a massive victory.
Yeah, I take that point. I think for Rangers at the moment, I've said it a lot of times that it's points over performances, but I don't, for the life of me, I can't see how this game wasn't 5 each. If it wasn't for goalkeepers and missed opportunities, it could have been an incredible scoreline. But I thought Motherwell started really well, and I still believe that fear factor of going to Ibrox isn't there. And
clearly not.
Exactly, and you know how Motherwell are going to turn up. They're going to play their style of football, and I've said it before, I think if they had that cutting edge, if they had that striker that's going to get you the goals, I mean, they would be absolutely flying. They create so many opportunities. Likewise did Rangers. Thought Gassama was good on the left-hand side, and then he switched to the right. He was involved in the goal. Asgard, some okay touches, a couple of strikes. I just feel like for both teams, it's the same. Like the in forward areas, when they get into situations, it's just that final bit. Look, Ward was excellent, Butland was excellent. It could have been different on another day, but a team that was willing to come to Ibrox, show what they're all about, and just didn't take their opportunities.
I bet Chermiti's happy, Alan. Sorry to jump in.
See when I seen this,
what is he doing?
When I seen this, I thought, like, that's where he's at this moment in time, struggling for goals, and then that one gets chalked off because he blocks the keeper. I mean, it was just one of those kind of moments. But I just think it's important at this moment in time for Rangers to continue to win games, and if they can keep as much pressure on the teams above them, then great. But I'm with Mikey, what he said, I think it was last week. Motherwell have a big say in where the probably title lands, because some of these games that they're playing in, they play such attractive football, and if they can finish off the opportunities, then like I said, they'll have a big say.
What was stunning is towards the end of the game, by the way, Rangers were ahead. If you see the extended highlights, and they were still bombing forward, and then Motherwell were creating a lot, including this. So, Michael, don't worry. I think you've made your opinion clear on this, and we will come back to it. But Alan, first of all, then for you,
it's a penalty.
Yeah,
Darryl, it's a penalty. I mean, we were having a heated discussion before we even came on air about it, but that's another story. I just feel Fernandes, he's very clumsy. As a defender, you never just stick out your leg. And it wasn't like a dangled leg. It was actually put straight out. Fadinger does well running into the box, changes direction, and I believe that he was taken out. A lot of people have said, initiating contact, this, that, and the next time.
So Ali McCoy's put that out on Instagram, didn't he? That he thought the players
everybody's got their own opinion
towards the defender.
Yeah. And how many times do you see that? But I just genuinely felt his leg was out into the direction he was running. There's contact here. He's went over. I think it should have been a penalty. I think, again, they got away with one.
If you try to defend like that, Michael, you're asking for big trouble.
Yeah.
You dangle your leg out in front of a player who's running at that pace. So how clear was it that at least maybe, I don't know, VAR should have spent a bit more time looking at it?
Because it didn't spend long.
No.
It didn't spend long. I think it's an embarrassing decision from VAR. Another howler from VAR. I mean, when you see it, I'm surprised that from the referee's perspective, because when you see that in real time, your instinct is, oh, there's got to be contact, because it almost feels physically impossible for there not to be contact.
A couple of the reactions as well.
And
I think
if you look at Finlay Curtis and Lyle Cameron, who are both 6 feet away, the two of them turn and put their hands on their head.
You see Curtis just after this, yeah.
I mean, you can see there. That's a
so people are saying he's initiating contact. See, when you see that angle, I think it's just his running movement. He's maybe trying to jump over the leg or whatever, and his leg's out there and it's taken about. That's a penalty for me.
That's to see, like, folk talking about initiating contact. I mean, I just think
where he's running.
I think that's utter gibberish. And you're just literally, it's through the looking glass. This isn't difficult.
That's
exactly that there. This isn't a difficult decision. People are literally doing mental gymnastics to try to back up a position that they're taking. It's very simple. Is there
any surprise, though, Michael, by the way, not just this game in isolation, but the decision-making that we've seen.
Horrific.
I know VAR came in handy in one of the games we've already said, one of the edits this week. The decision-making overall has been nothing short of appalling.
Horrific. All season long, it's getting worse. And that's another one to add to the bundle. Fernandes is a lucky boy. As Hutch said, he dangles a leg out, poor defending. His teammates that are standing 2 yards away from him, they show you what's going on. And you look at Fernandes' reaction as well. If he did that and he didn't make contact, he would have been at the referee going like, no. He turns away sheepishly. He knows it's a penalty. The Rangers players beside him know it's a penalty. For some unknown reason, the referee has not given it. And for some inexcusable reason, VAR, yet again, comes up with a disaster by closing its eyes and turning away. And by the way, for too long, you have big decisions that go against teams, and you just got to suck it up. Now you've got VAR, and you've got big decisions that are going against teams, and the teams have got to suck it up and know that they're paying for this. They're paying hundreds of thousands of pounds to be done over, because that's a shocking decision.
It's not been very good this season, let's be honest, Alan. Some of the decisions that you've seen. In the end, Motherwell, I know I've already said they missed Maswinisi in this game. I think he could have made a difference for them, but they'll feel they've missed an opportunity there, Alan. The amount that they created as well. Even, as I say, late in the game, Rangers still trying to finish the match off and leaving themselves wide open at the back. It was strange to watch towards the end, but Motherwell felt like as if they were going to get something.
Of course, and why wouldn't they not? Really, when you think about it, I mean, they're a team that aren't scared to play anybody, and it doesn't matter where it is. They stick to their game plan, so they understand their roles in that team, and if they stick to it, they'll create opportunities. I've just always said that they do make a lot. It's about finishing it. It's like that final decision in the final third, that if that can click, I mean, there'll be a team that's frightening. I just think from a Rangers point of view, this is what Rangers are at this moment in time. I mean, they're just desperate for points. I mean, I don't really think they've got the know-how at this moment to maybe score a couple of goals and just shut up shop and say, right, let's be solid, let's be sound, let's just see out the game. I just don't think they have that in them right now. Defensively, they'll always give you a chance.
By the way, the derby is going to be fascinating because, incredibly, when you feel like in the last month, there has been some absolute howler, well, all season long has been howler decisions, right? And Rangers have been extremely fortunate on a number of them. But they've got the best defensive record in the league now, which I find incredible. I find it incredible. But to take it forward into the derby, you're talking about a Celtic team now who create loads of chances, but they're not really taking them. And you've got a side, in terms of Celtic defensively, who gift up opportunities galore to a side like Rangers who it feels like they've not really found a rhythm in an attacking sense. So you look at the derby and I think to myself, it could be anything, obviously at Parkhead, but you think to yourself, that game could literally end up anything.
Yeah. And Butland, by the way, after the poor goal they allowed at Tynecastle, he obviously kept his place and repaid the manager's faith there because he was outstanding. That's maybe why the defensive record's been quite good at times, because I know he's had a couple of high-profile errors, but he's made some massive saves this season. Just a couple of other points just quickly on Rangers. I'll throw them both at you. Danny Roll asking more from Rascan. He said ahead of the game, Alan, why would he not? Because he's not been anywhere near his best this season. But he's also asking the board to be sort of brave and bold in the January transfer window. He knows he needs a lot, doesn't he?
Of course he does. I mean, I think he'll want to play a certain type of football. He understands the players that he needs through the door. He knows he needs experience. He needs leaders within the group. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of surgery, I think, that needs done with that team. We've spoke about players need to go out before maybe they come in, but they're going to have to be bold because they're going to have to spend money if they want the right players to come in, hit the ground running and help them now. Not in 6 months' time or whatever now. And I think the Raskin point is a fair point. I think he needs to do more. He's now probably in that leadership group within the team at this moment in time, and he needs to prove that on the pitch with performances.
Yeah, no doubt. Right, on to the last game then, to look at the last game played over the weekend. You were there, Michael. Aberdeen 1, Dundee United 1. It wasn't the most riveting game, I'll be honest. Watching on, it wasn't. There was a... I got there at the end, didn't I? Riveting. There were a few chances, few opportunities, but I think the Aberdeen fans at the moment, I mentioned this last week, are right on edge, Michael. There were boos at half-time. They needed to get something in the second half. They're not pleased. I don't think they're excited by what they're seeing at all in terms of the football.
Well, I think there's a bit of a split, amongst the Aberdeen supporters in terms of the results of late. Obviously, have been not bad.
They've got a bit better, but there's still that dissent.
Yeah, you're not exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think there's a bit, there's almost like two camps. Some feeling like, results have been positive. It's bought a bit of time, perhaps moving in the right direction. Where there's others, I think, have just sort of not so much ignoring the results, but they're looking more at the performances and looking and seeing what is the direction of the travel. And I would have to say I'm probably more in that camp in terms of looking at things 18 months down the line with Jimmy Tillene. And
of that 3-year plan, remember, by the way.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of change. There's been a lot of players coming in. There's obviously been a change of system now as well. And I'm just unsure as to where Aberdeen are. I don't really know. And I don't see... And by the way, I thought to a certain extent there was a greater degree of some sort of phases of play and patterns on Saturday, but still just feels like it's lacking a degree of quality and final, end product in that last.
And Carlson's important, and now you hear that he might not even be there, or there's no guarantees he'll be there beyond January as well. So look, recruitment, we've talked about a lot of teams. We know there's new sporting director, Lutz Pfannenstiel, in there. That is going to be huge. Centre half seem to be a priority as well. They've got to get it right if this 3-year plan is going to go back on course.
Yes, I would say this window is very important, and it also leads to how are they going to want to play? Are they going to want to stick with this system? And like we're talking about with Celtic, are they going to want...
It sounds like no is the answer when you read what's been said, Michael.
So that's what I was about to say. Do they want to recruit into that system, or are they going to revert back to a bit more of a 4 It's going to be very, very intriguing to see how they want to play. Carlson's a bit of a conundrum for me as well. The guy's clearly got ability, but I'll often look at him and I'm torn between, is he having a big enough impact on the team? Is he takes a lot of touches. Sometimes I'm thinking, try and do things a little bit quicker, 1 and 2 touch, and try to get into areas where, he can really impact the game, because he's got the ability to do it. Like, he scores the goal and it's very simple in the end. He follows a shot in and he gets a tap in. But there's a lot of the times I think he sort of plays on the periphery where he's not really going to hurt the opposition. And if I was the manager, I'd really want to get him, in that final third. I don't really want him dropping deep. Try and stay out wide and get yourself 1v1 against, fullbacks, wingbacks and things like that. But a lot of the game, due to the system as well, he plays sort of on the inside channel at times. And I just think his quality is lost to a certain extent. And I think in a team that is clearly struggling at the top end of the park, I think if he was utilised or he did it himself a bit better, I think it could be a huge, benefit to Aberdeen.
Yeah, but in saying all that, he would still be a loss, of course, if he does leave in January, go back to his club. I think a lot of the players signed, I think that's the issue at the moment, Alan. There's been money spent, as we just saw one of the comments. Yumi Talene has been backed. I think there's still question marks over several of them, including in the forward areas, and that's a worry. We will run out of time, so just briefly on Dundee United. Well, listen, was it a fair result in the end for both teams? Obviously, Dundee United, they've had their issues with goalkeepers, and I know Richards didn't cover himself in glory on the goal.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Dundee United, they came with a game plan. They denied them space in behind, which was difficult for the likes of Carlson and all that kind of thing to get into that final third. And we know how they're going to play. I think they're off the back of some decent results, some hard games, and they scored against the run of play. But that's how they were going to always play. They were going to play in that counter-attack style, but I think for them, it's just about turning the draws into wins. I mean, that's 10 now. They need to try and get some victories and start climbing back up the table. But it was a game that I expected to kind of pan out that way, and it was probably about right, even though Aberdeen had probably more opportunities to score. Yeah, but
as we'll see, just going through the highlights here.
But like the goalkeeping situation is an issue. I mean, see if Jim Goodwin got out of that game 1-0. I mean, what a result it would have been. But Mikey's spot on when he talks about Carlson, and I heard him when he was doing his co-coms, that he's got ability, but it's about giving him the ball in the right areas where he can really go and affect it. And this is what Dundee United try to do. They put you in pressure, they counter-attack quickly. I think defensively they have to be better against Fata. I mean, you know where he's going to go as a defender. If I'm playing on that side, I know he wants to cut in his right foot. You need to try and show him the line. And it turns out like the 2 goals were down to mistakes. So it's about cutting out individual errors. Probably Dundee United, I would say, have had too many this season go against them, and it's really affected them.
Here's the goal, Michael. I talked about Richards.
Aye. Just bounces just in front of him, but still, you'd be wanting him to do better.
It's not a howler, that's the thing, but yes.
Yeah, it's not, exactly. It's not a howler. I think you've summed it up well. But it is definitely one that you'd be wanting them to do better. And, clearly, like Alan says, if he saves it or gets it away from danger, they win the game 1-0. It's a massive, massive difference for Dundee United psychologically as well. To go to Pittodrie, soak up pressure, get a clean sheet and win 1-0. Instead, it's a draw. And they'll take that, absolutely. But it's fine margins, really.
It is, and I think when there's been focus on the goalkeeper and that kind of goal happens, I think that's why we raise the point even more. Ordinarily, if he's had a brilliant season or that department of the team's not been an issue, we don't mention it much. Anyway, let's move forward a little point.
By the way, that's a good point there. Yeah. I thought the referee was a bit. He got himself in a bit of a fan call on a number of occasions. I don't even think, but the point that's made there, I think it was Graham, is a good point, but I'm not sure it was related to that game. I think the referee.
Well, there's been a few instances recently of question
there
marks.
Is, and I think it's a valid point. But the game on Saturday at Pittodrie, there was a couple of times where the ref eventually pulls it back, but I don't even think the players were holding their head. I think he just pulled it back as if it was a head knock. But
and I think refs are edgy as well, because that's the obviously any contact with the head and you are concerned. So a player's holding his head. then you're going to have to take a good look at it. It's a bit like what I said earlier on about players shoveling the ball out of play. When
but the game on Saturday, Darryl, the referee pulled it back on a number of occasions, and I don't even think the players were holding their heads. I think he just got himself in such a fan call, and he was like, "Oh."
There was one. There was a breakaway. Do you remember? Yes. There was a breakaway, and he allowed it to play on. Then he pulled it back. It's things like that you're then scratching your head, thinking, "What is going on here?"
Well, because also, Hut's thing is, if it's a head knock, you can't let the game play on. You know, if it's a head knock, you need to stop it.
It's not easy for the refs. So it's down to the players.
Well, part of,
Let's hope there's honesty. Right, listen, we're running out of time fast here, and I promise people you pick your teams of the season so far.
Yes.
Alan, have you got yours in front of you? Do you want to read us out, if you want, the 11 players that you want in your team of the season so far?
Right, do you want formation in that, or just read
You can if you want, mate.
Systems don't matter, apparently, Hutz.
All right, okay, right. Well, I've went Follow on goals. I've went Finlay, Halkett, Hanley in the back three. I've went Milne on one side, Watt, Devlin, Maswanisi, Braga and Negrin behind Shankland.
Okay, a couple of things maybe I can come back to there. Kizaridis, I think, is a little bit unlucky there. Michael, who have you got in your team?
Maswanisi is just edges it.
Well,
that's my own opinion.
It's a big one. He rattled it out very quickly there, Darryl.
So quickly you've not got yours in front of you yet.
No, and then I've went Finlay, Halkett, Hanley in a back three.
We've gone back three.
Hanley's a big toll.
No, but let me tell you why. Because right back, it was a problem.
By the way, right back is a problem.
Yeah. So go through all the teams. Go through all the teams. And it's, by the way, I'm not downing anybody. I'm just saying, like, to really put them up there, it was a difficult one. And then I've went Harry Milne on the left, Watt, Devlin in the middle, Maswanisi on the right, Braga and Negrin, and then Shankland up top. So they two in behind them.
Okay, Michael, run through yours, please.
And just in case you don't believe me, I've done that.
Oh, don't worry, I've got the message. That is the truth. Yeah. There were a few things scored out, but he got there.
There's a couple down here that I was like, what do I do?
It's a bit of a weird system. I'm not sure that's functional.
Well, listen, you give us yours first.
I told you why, because of the right back situation. And by the way, this isn't a functional. It's just who I think's played well in the start of the season.
Go on, Mike, before we run out of time. Who have you gone for?
Right, I'm going 4-3-3. I've got Ward in goals for Motherwell. I've got McGinn at right back, and it's sort of like what Hutz is talking about. He's not playing there, but it's trying. There's very few others.
Hey, so he's talking about formations. And he's just creating a position to put a centre half in.
He's just got Paul McGinn in the team. Go on, Mikey. Go on, please.
Okay. Right, McGinn right back, Halkett and Welsh centre half, Harry Milne left back. Got a midfield three of Watt, Devlin, and Mulligan, and then I've got a front three of Hearts. Kizaridis on the left, Shankland through the middle, and Braga alongside him, but drifting into out.
There's only a few positions you could maybe argue. I can't believe you left Finlay out that team, but I know Stephen Welsh has played very well for Motherwell when he has started this season, so I can understand that. I think, you know what? I think Emmanuel Longello. Emmanuel Longello's a bit unlucky on the left side.
Yeah, I've got him down
brilliant
there.
For Motherwell.
Longello. He has, but Harry Milne's been.
I know.
He's been exceptional.
And he's played all over the place. He's played far right, as well, and he's still been a standout. So I understand that you have to try and get him in the team. Not an easy one to do.
Players, 4 Motherwell players, and 1 Hibs player.
I'm surprised Kizaridis isn't in your team. Al, how long did it take you to try and find a way to get a Rangers player in your 11?
I genuinely didn't even look. And that's me telling the truth. You just know that none of them are going to be in it, and it is what it is at this moment in time. So, but my problem was the right back situation, so I changed to.
What's your breakdown?
3.
How many from each team? Hutz?
So I've got one. It was between Ward and Follow, so I just went with him because of Heart situations. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Hearts. I've got 1 Hibs. I've got 2 Motherwell. 1 Celtic.
7 Hearts players and Kizaridis isn't one. That's bold.
I know.
But Maswanisi's playing there for me.
And do you know something, guys? Just before we run out of time, what I would say is that sums up the season we've seen in Scotland so far. The fact that you couldn't get a Rangers player in your team, Alan. Not many Celtic players have been included in either of their teams. So fair play to some of the other teams and some of the other players. They've stepped up, and obviously the Jambos dominating things as you would expect the way they are on the table. Just before we go, just a quick reminder, Motherwell Celtic to come live in Premier Sports tomorrow night. Premier Sports 1, 7:30 for that one. Then you've got Falkirk Celtic into the new year. All those Scottish Cup fixtures to come as well. Loads of games, and those two matches I mentioned last week too, which have been named for February, which are beauties. There's some of the Scottish Cup games going through. You'll see Rangers Annan, Hearts Falkirk, Auchinleck Talbot against Celtic, the game that was moved. Unfortunate, obviously, some of the Auchinleck Talbot fans not happy about that. But into February as well, Hibs against Rangers has been named live in Premier Sports. That's the 1st of February. And on the 10th, the next Edinburgh derby, which will be absolutely brilliant. So many good games to look forward to. Hopefully you'll be watching tomorrow night. Alan, Michael, thank you very much. Have a brilliant New Year celebration, everyone. We will see you in 2026. Bye for now.